Take another look. Nvidia informed me that Blackwell would be sampling and that they would ship in bulk during the second half. Receive a 50% reduction on every item in the shop. Only the first 50 music buyers will be eligible for this deal. It slipped, according to the information, and it won't be shipping volume, perhaps until the second half. Now, some people were arguing that it wouldn't be ready in 2025 because of this. I don't get that. Would I pay 12% less for Nvidia? Yes, I believe you should get Nvidia when it drops by 12%. If it rises to 86, you should purchase more. What am I going to tell you, really? Buying is not that risky, regardless of whether they are delayed or not. It's a supply issue rather than a demand issue, and supply is usually less important to investors. The problem arises if you tell me there is no demand. However, according to my sources, Zuckerberg would accept each and every Blackwell. The clients are present. People were dismayed, I believe, by the Amazon conference call because they said, "Look, we have to buy." And Google said, "We have to buy." Although Amazon produces certain chips, Blackwell is superior. Nvidia has been too heated though. I didn't like it when their products were being used to mine cryptocurrency, and this is a major adjustment for Nvidia. However, should I exclude Nvidia? No. Would I like to purchase Amazon right now? Yes, sort of. David Amazon is currently at 154, down from 200. Assume for the moment that I would like to own 100 shares of Amazon. I purchase 25, and I purchase an additional 25 if the price drops by an additional $3. The degree of fear at the moment is not in line with the facts, so I'm attempting to be a little objective. I apologize to Warren Buffett once more. To put it simply, Tim Cook and Warren Buffett did not sit down for the go-in or the go-out. You have to decide for yourself, in my opinion, and aside from Meta. I felt that Apple had the finest quarter out of all these large corporations. Additionally, I don't want to sell all of these equities due to Japanese-related issues. Yes, look at the losers. ARM is one of them. About ARM, I'm a little concerned. Although it had a good quarter, SoftBank owns a significant amount, which worries me. Describe the issue. Yes, ARM is fully under SoftBank's control. After all, the float is still minuscule compared to the whole proportion. We don't know what SoftBank has been up to, but the stock opened at $50 and was at $58. We don't know if they made the trade either in terms of the yen or in terms of, you see, we know they can return, but we don't know much. So what? That they may need to sell some of their arms. I'm concerned about it. Now, Nvidia. May I simply state that there will be a consideration that the information tail is incorrect and that they must postpone the Blackwell. Because once more, if the business tells me that, look, nothing's really changed since August, you might say that they made vague statements between July and August. Well, you know what they're trying to say during the quiet period is that we're fine, you could say. When a corporation is quiet and unable to defend itself, like a defenseless giant, it's a fantastic moment to hit them over the weekend in a truly awful market. You know what I say as I sit here. I should merely work at another employment if I wish to respond to the informational narrative. I should just start watching Peacock all the time. I'm not sure. You want to be cautious, fair, and thoughtful. There ought to be greater consideration. How about the historic Russell exchange if all you want to do is join the rep? How is that going? It appears that you were unable to escape. Since they wouldn't prohibit you from going out and the buy-in was entirely with the futures, it was a Roach Motel trade. They tell me that. Not just listen, we'll take you out down 3%. They wouldn't. Brokers wouldn't do it. The Russell, then, is a fantastic trade. Wonderful. What appealed to me about it? It was small cap, I see now. It was nice small cap. You must be an expert in your field. That ought to be a requirement. Chris Casso, a senior analyst at Wolfe Research, is here. Since Intel is a stock that is being impacted this morning, you might want to talk to the person who knows everything. However, last week, wow, did it get hit? Yes, it did. As you may know, Intel experienced a rather unique development. It has to do with the money they have been spending to fix their production and the fact that AI has being overlooked. Therefore, it's somewhat inconsistent with, why? Receive a 50% reduction on every item in the shop. Only the first 50 music buyers will be eligible for this deal. Clearly, one of the things driving the market has been Nvidia's strength. However, it's not really different because Intel's current predicament is partly due to their failure to capitalize on AI. It doesn't, however, address the current state of affairs at Nvidia, which is still demonstrating significant strength. The point is, do you think, we were talking about sort of Warren Buffett's sale on aisle 5. When you see the stock at this price on a morning like this, do you think it's amazing? Or do you believe that this is a knife that is dropping and that there is still much more to fall? Yes, and I always respect the markets when they act in a way similar to what they did on Friday and today. The foundations of Nvidia are still very solid, in my opinion. It never reached a bubble-like valuation, so it isn't. As of right present, Nvidia's earnings for the year are $4. It's going higher than that, I believe. It is roughly a multiple of 25. For what is undoubtedly one of the most significant stocks on the market, it is a great bargain. Because AI is the other aspect of this, just think about it for a moment when you're thinking about. Let's think even more widely now. And this morning, we're examining Apple. It's a sign of the bigger problem. Even though I know it's not a stock you cover specifically, we witnessed Warren Buffett sell his shares in that business. In addition to everything else that's happening, I believe that's probably weighing on Apple. However, do you think I will trigger a kind of enormous supercycle, if you will, in terms of all hardware improvements over the course of the next year or two? Or do you observe that a large number of chips are being sold to fuel cloud AI? Actually, you may divide it into 3 categories. The first is AI for Nvidia, which powers the models themselves, as you may know. You need it first, and that should be your primary priority. And it won't go away. That will not go away. The second section then discusses smartphones, followed by PCs. Because of what Apple done, which states that you must have an iPhone 15 Pro or higher to run Apple AI. Whether you need it or not, we are much more optimistic about AI on smartphones. And the reason for that is that Apple controls the ecosystem. From the PC perspective, we're less optimistic about that. All right. This is because, for example, neither Microsoft nor Intel can, or it is not in Microsoft's best interest, to pressure you into purchasing a new PC. It will open today at 96 because Nvidia was at 141. That's exactly 32%. It was more than $3 trillion, In theory, it might eventually be less than $2 trillion. Indeed, Nvidia has dominated the market and clearly outperformed all other competitors. However, we do not anticipate a 32% decline in the Nasdaq. Only 10% has been lost. As previously said, the Dow and S&P are down 4% and 6% respectively. Nvidia has experienced a 32% decline. Who gets caught up to whom? Well, and keep in mind that Nvidia's growth matched the increase in profits. They're profitable, When it comes down to it, what is the molt doing now? It has dropped 32%. And I suppose that during the past week, we have talked to investors, and part of that was to see what might be going on in the market. This retreat is being sniffed out. The stock that they made the most money on was Nvidia. That's where you make money. It was a great year for me. Now is not the time to ruin the year. Let's remove some financial uncertainty. People phone you and ask whether you tell them to go buy since everything is so cheap today. Or do you tell them to hold their fire? We're still there, listen. Since we haven't noticed it in the fundamentals, I believe this to be a bit of a mid-cycle correction. For instance, I would be concerned if we saw a slowdown in the use of AI. For instance, the hyperscalers have told us so far this quarter that capital expenditures are rather high at the moment,